Well, we clocked the T-Rex to 32 miles an hour.
T-Rex?
Mm-hmm.
You said you've got a T-Rex?
Uh-huh.
Say again?
We have a T-Rex.
One of us should go change. Okay. Duh, forget it.
Hello and welcome to Kaiju Review, where today we're going to be talking about a dinosaur movie that doesn't actually contain any actual dinosaurs. At least not technically.
Jurassic Park. On a dark night on a mysterious Isla Nublar, a crew led by Robert Muldoon are transported a caged animal into a new habitat. A mishap occurs. One of the crew is dragged into the cage, killed by the animal as the rest of the crew scramble to stop the creature.
Well, this is already getting interesting.
Sometime later, a lawyer, Donald Gennaro, travels to an ember mine in the Dominican Republic where he discussed the mishap with the director of the mine while an ember specimen has been uncovered.
In the Badlands, a team are digging up fossils of velociraptors, while the head of the team, Dr. Alan Grant, is showing a group of tourists the find. A young boy in the group scoffs at the dinosaur bones, claiming to not be scared. Grant then proceeds to terrify the kid by describing how the raptors would use their curved claws to tear their prey to pieces.
Stupid kid gets scared to be torn to pieces. What a dub. Grant's assistant, Ellie Stadler, jokes with Grant about scaring the kid when a helicopter arrives, forcing the crew to scramble, protecting the fossils. Grant and Ellie confront the new arrival, John Hammond, head of engine, who begins to talk about his island amusement park and extends an invitation to the pair as consultants.
In Costa Rica, a computer engineer, Dennis Nedry, who works for InGen, meets up with the shady Louis Dodgson to discuss the corporate theft Nedry will be doing for Dodgson's company. Dodgson gives Nedry a can of shaving cream with a secret compartment to store embryos.
Yeah, that reminds me, I think you need to shave. On the way to Isla Nublar, Grant and Ellie meet Donald and a mathematician, Ian Malcolm, who are also traveling to the island. Arriving on the island, Grant and the others get a look at the main attraction of the island, living dinosaurs! Hammond then welcomes his guests to Jurassic Park.
Arriving at the visitor center, Hammond shows the group a short film explaining how InGen have succeeded in cloning dinosaurs, using frog DNA to fill in the blank spaces. The group are then shown scientists working on cloning the dinosaurs, and Grant and the others force their way off the ride to go in for a closer look.
I don't think they were supposed to do that. The group gets a chance to watch one of the eggs hatch. The lead scientist, Henry Wu, reveals due to the scientists engineering the dinosaurs on the island are all female in order to prevent the dinosaurs from breeding in the park. Though unsure how Ian is confident that breeding is possible.
Simply saying that life finds a way.
Wait, are they talking about dino lovin'?
I believe so.
Later, the group watch as a bull is lowered into the velociraptor pen, with the harness being in bad shape when it's pulled back up. Muldoon explains his role as warden of the park, always prepared just in case an animal gets loose. Hammond isn't worried about such a thing due to the electric fences all over the park.
I have a funny feeling that's going to bite him in the butt in the end. At dinner, Ian is highly critical of Hammond's, believing that he is just using knowledge of others without earning it. Ian explains bringing dinosaurs back to life is wrong, believing that they've had their shot and they blew it, but Hammond foolishly gives them a second chance. When Grant and Ellie agree with Ian, Hammond is amazed that only the lawyer is on his side.
Hammond's grandchildren, Tim and Lex, arrive, surprising the rest of the group, as they weren't aware that children would be along for the test trip through the park. Tim immediately recognizes Grant and begins talking the man's ear off about dinosaurs, much to Grant's chagrin. In the control room, Muldoon voices concerns about a storm that's on the way to the island.
With Grant riding with Ellie and Ian, Donald is forced to ride with Tim and Lex. The group head out, soon arriving at the park's main gate.
What do they got in there, King Kong?
The group comes to the Dilophosaurus area, but none of the creatures appear, and the tour moves on.
Back in the control room, Nedry and the lead engineer, Ray Arnold, monitor the activity in the park, with Nedry complaining about all the work heaped upon him. The guests arrive at the Tyrannosaurus Rex area, and a goat is raised into the area for the creature to eat, but again, it doesn't show up, and the group must move on.
Oh, come on, let's see some dinos. Ian explains the concept of chaos theory to Ellie using the drop of water on the back of her hand as an experiment. Grant then exits the car and Ellie follows him, and the cars are stopped as the others get out to Hammond's irritation. The group come upon an ailing Triceratops that is suffering from an unknown illness.
Great. We finally get to see a dinosaur, and it's sick. What a waste.
Ellie requests to check the creature's droppings for evidence of possible poisoning.
Arnold tells the guests to return to the cars to return to the visitor center due to the coming storm, and Ellie opts to stay behind to help with the Triceratops. Nedry secretly contacts the boat that will take him off the island, which has to leave soon due to the storm that's almost upon the island. Nedry tells Hammond and Arnold that his computer is running a program that's working to iron out the kinks in the system, and steps out, claiming to go on a food run.
I don't like this guy. Dennis enters the embryo storage room after his program shuts down the locks for the doors and begins grabbing the frozen babies and placing them inside a shaving cream container. In the park, the power begins to go out, leaving the guests stranded in the storm. Arnold works on figuring out what's wrong with the power while Nedry makes his escape. As Arnold works on fixing the park systems, Nedry's virus takes effect, locking Arnold out of the system.
Human.
With the car stranded outside the T-Rex pen, Tim digs around and finds a pair of night vision goggles. As the group waits for the power to come back on, footsteps are heard. Lex wonders where the goat has gone, and she soon gets her answer. When the T-Rex reveals that the electric fence isn't working, Donald runs to a nearby restroom.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
The T-Rex breaks free of the electric fence.
Ignorant of what to do, Lex turns on a flashlight, attracting the carnivore to the Jeep. The T-Rex begins prodding the Jeep, searching for a meal. The Jeep's glass roof drops on the terrified children. When the T-Rex flips the Jeep, Grant and Ian try to distract the dinosaur. Despite Grant's warning, Ian runs with a flare, drawing too much attention to himself.
The T-Rex shoves Ian through the restroom and makes a meal of Donald. Grant works to save the kids, getting Lex free before the carnivore turns its attention back to them. With Tim still trapped in the Jeep, the T-Rex forces Grant, Lex, and the Jeep over the side of the paddock.
Man, this movie's getting scary, but still awesome.
Arnold reveals that Nedry really messed up the system, and Hammond asks Muldoon to go out into the park to get his grandchildren, with Ellie going along with him.
Out in the park, Nedry crashes his Jeep, and working on getting it fixed, he loses his glasses and encounters a Dilophosaurus. Irritated by the creature, Nedry attempts to get rid of it by playing fetch with it. The dinosaur spits venom at Nedry, blinding him as he struggles to get back to the Jeep where another is waiting for him.
Yay! Newman's dead!
Back with Grant, he assures Lex that he'll save Tim, who's now stuck up in the tree, and Grant makes his way up to the wrecked Jeep. Grant manages to save Tim as the Jeep comes crashing down. Ellie and Muldoon search for the others outside the T-Rex pen, but only find the injured Ian. They soon learn that the T-Rex is still nearby, and drive off as the creature gives chase.
Faster, faster, faster. The T-Rex is going 32 miles per hour, so they better go faster. Grant and the children climb a tree to sleep with the rest of the night in safety. Back at the visitor center, Hammond works on eating the melting ice cream with Ellie as he worries about his grandchildren. Hammond also worries about the fate of his park, as Ellie explains that Hammond's creations were never really under his control.
The next morning, the children and Grant are awakened by a herd of brachiosaurs feeding nearby, one of which sneezes on Lex. Tim makes fun of Lex for spending her time as a cybernaut. Grant finds the remains of dinosaur eggs and realizes that the dinosaurs are breeding in the park. Grant explains that some types of frogs can change their gender, explaining how male dinosaurs can exist inside the park.
Back at the control room, Hammond suggests they shut down the power in order to reset the park systems. Arnold mentions they've never done so before.
Dying.
After shutting down the power doesn't come back on fully, and Arnold volunteers to go out and boot up the generator to restore power to the park.
Grant and the kids encounter a large group of Gallimimus who begin running towards them, but only because of the Tyrannosaurus Rex that's after them. In the bunker, the power hasn't come back on, and despite Hammond assuring them that every park has kinks in their systems at first, Ellie and Muldoon head out to the generator themselves. Outside, they notice that the raptor pen has been damaged and the raptors have escaped. Muldoon spots one of the raptors and tells Ellie to head for the generator shed.
Trying to make their way to the safety, Grant and the kids are forced to climb one of the fences, thankfully ain't currently electrified. Ellie finds the generator, starts it, restoring power to the park. Unfortunate, Tim is still on the fence when the power comes back on. Ellie encounters a raptor, then finds Arnold, or at least what's left of him.
Come on, this is Samuel Jackson we're talking about. He's probably out there hunting dinosaurs with one arm while riding a T-Rex.
Badass.
While pursuing the raptor from earlier, Muldoon is ambushed by another raptor and killed. Grant manages to save Tim's life by performing CPR, and the three make their way to the visitor center. Grant leaves the kids in the dining hall and goes to find the others. He encounters Ellie, who tries to warn him about the raptors.
Can't they get a break? Come on. Tim and Lex soon encounter the raptors themselves and attempt to escape by fleeing into the kitchen. After tense sneaking around, avoiding the ravaging pursuers, Tim and Lex manage to trap one of the raptors in a freezer and rejoin Grant. They make their way to the control room while Ellie and Grant work on keeping the raptor out. Lex restores the park systems.
Grant calls Hammond to inform him that the systems are back in line and asking him to call a helicopter when a raptor breaks through a nearby window, forcing the group into the rafters. The raptors pursue them to the entrance hall, but the humans cause a skeleton to come crashing down, and one of the raptors is unexpectedly stopped by a T-Rex who finds an easy meal.
How did T-Rex get in there without making a sound?
Good question. Still an awesome scene, though.
As the remaining raptors fight the larger foe, Grant's group reunite with Hammond and Ian, and the survivors make their way off the island via helicopter. Hammond reflects on the shattered dream that was his park as the film comes to a close.
Well, that was Jurassic Park, folks.
Awesome movie.
Yeah, the CGI was groundbreaking back in the day, and now, all these years later, it still holds up as looking really excellent.
Very.
Yeah, we highly recommend checking out Jurassic Park.
And possibly there's sequels.
Maybe. Maybe.
Alright. I got a Tanks World to do. Bye.
Okay.